Atlantic roars. Waves 30 feet high crash into the steel hull. Freezing spray slams the deck. In these dark waters lurks a predator with a 4-foot razor-sharp sword, the Atlantic swordfish, weighing up to 650 pounds and capable of impaling a man. In 2022, a single Portuguese boat landed $15 million worth of these giants in one season. But what makes this unbelievable is that European Union bureaucracy accidentally created this gold mine. How did fishing quotas turn Portuguese fishermen into millionaires overnight? And what's the hidden cost nobody talks about? The story began in 2019 when the European Union implemented strict swordfish quotas after a devastating population crash. Throughout the 2010s, Atlantic swordfish had declined by 70% due to overfishing. Scientists predicted extinction within decades, but Portuguese fishermen discovered something remarkable. They found a loophole in the system. By fishing at night using long lines in deep Atlantic canyons, they could catch massive swordfish that everyone thought had disappeared forever. The first night, Captain João Silva recounted, "We pulled up 40 swordfish. We thought our equipment was broken. These fish were supposed to be gone." Portugal sits at the edge of the continental shelf, where the ocean floor drops from 200 meters to 3,000 meters depth. The Sesimbra Canyon, just 50 kilometers offshore, creates the perfect hunting ground. Swordfish had simply moved deeper, hunting at 600 to 800 meters below the surface, where most boats couldn't reach them. Water temperature at that depth stays between 12 and 15 degrees Celsius year-round. The Portuguese fleet of 120 licensed longline vessels adapted their techniques. They learned to fish where others had given up, and the results were staggering. Today, Portuguese swordfish exports are worth $180 million annually. 85% goes to Spain, Italy, and Japan, where premium fish sells for $35 to $50 per kilogram wholesale. A single 300-kilogram swordfish is worth $12,000. Longline fishing uses 30 kilometers of line with 200 hooks. Crews set lines at sunset and haul them at sunrise. They use squid bait and chemical light sticks to attract fish in the darkness. Boats work 10 to 15 days offshore, returning only when their holds are full of ice and fish. But this system faces three invisible threats. First, overfishing risk. The population has recovered, but remains fragile. The quota system is the only protection. One season of violations could crash the population again, and this time it might not recover. Second, the bycatch problem. Those 200 hooks don't discriminate. They catch sharks, sea turtles, and dolphins. The bycatch rate is 15%, meaning 180 tons of marine life dies accidentally every year. Environmental groups are demanding restrictions that could shut down the entire industry. Third and most terrifying, climate migration. Warming ocean waters are pushing swordfish north toward Ireland and the United Kingdom. Scientists estimate Portugal has a 10-year window before these fish migrate permanently out of Portuguese waters. When that happens, the $180 million industry disappears overnight. The threat is real, silent, and already happening. The economic impact has been extraordinary. Between 2019 and 2023, Portuguese swordfish revenue jumped 400%. Fishing ports like Sesimbra transformed overnight. New boats appeared, processing facilities expanded, ice suppliers, fuel companies, and net manufacturers experienced a boom. Restaurants reopened in coastal towns that had been dying for decades. Real estate prices surged 60% in fishing communities. Export companies expanded into Asian markets. The industry created 3,500 new jobs. Government tax revenue reached $45 million annually. The total economic contribution, including support industries, now exceeds $420 million. Brexit created unexpected opportunities. When the United Kingdom lost EU fishing rights, Portugal captured 45% of the EU Atlantic swordfish quota. Spanish boats now compete desperately for Portuguese quotas. Morocco is threatening to expand its territorial waters, which could cut off access to prime fishing grounds. Individual boat owners became millionaires. Sesimbra became Europe's swordfish capital. But who pays the real price? To understand the cost, you have to witness what happens at sea. Swordfish fishing is a 24-hour operation in one of the world's most dangerous waters. The Atlantic winter, November through March, is prime season. Crews depart at 3 a.m., loading 2 tons of squid bait and 5 tons of ice. They check 30 kilometers of long-line cable, inspecting every meter for damage. Weather monitoring is constant because storms appear in just 2 hours. The journey out takes 3 to 4 hours, crossing shipping lanes filled with massive container ships and tankers. The depth finder shows the transition: 200 meters, 500 meters, 1,000 meters, 3,000 meters. They've reached the canyon edge. Winter Atlantic conditions are brutal. Waves 20 to 30 feet high are common. Temperature drops to 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. Wind chill pushes it below zero. Spray freezes on deck, creating deadly ice hazards. Visibility drops to near zero in storms. The boat rolls 30 to 40 degrees. Crew works in complete darkness. Hypothermia risk is constant. Setting the line takes 3 hours at sunset. The line sinks. 1 in 200 hooks descend, 600 meters deep. Now they wait. They drift overnight for 8 to 12 hours while the hooks fish in darkness. Hauling begins at sunrise. It takes 5 to 6 hours to retrieve the entire 30-kilometer line. Each swordfish weighs 200 to 400 pounds and must be pulled up manually with a hydraulic winch. The first swordfish breaks the surface. Silver blue body. Sword thrashing violently. One crew member uses a gaff to secure it. Another pulls it aboard. The sword can impale crew members if they're not careful. The fish is immediately bled and packed in ice to preserve quality. A good night brings 30 to 50 swordfish worth $300,000 to $500,000 per trip. The average trip lasts 12 days at sea. The crew splits 40% of the catch value. A deckhand can earn $80,000 annually. Captains and boat owners make $300,000 to $500,000. But one storm can sink the boat and kill the entire crew. Get into 2022. 3 Portuguese fishermen were lost when their boat capsized in a November storm. Their bodies were never recovered. Every trip is a calculated gamble between fortune and death. But behind the wealth, there's a dark side nobody discusses. The bycatch kills 180 tons of sharks, rays, and turtles every year. Chemical light sticks pollute the ocean. 50,000 are used and discarded annually. Some boats fish illegally at night with no monitoring. Scientists warn the population could crash again in 5 years if current pressure continues. Only 120 boats have licenses, creating a government-controlled monopoly. New licenses are impossible to obtain. Established families control the entire industry. Young fishermen are excluded. Coastal communities without boats receive no benefits. 80% of profits go to just 20 boat owners. Safety regulations are minimal. There are no mandatory rest periods for exhausted crews. Boats fish in dangerous conditions because delays cost money. Insurance fraud is common, with boats deliberately sunk for payouts. Labor exploitation runs deep. Foreign crew members are paid below minimum wage and have no legal protections. The price of Portugal's swordfish boom is measured in more than money. The paradox is striking. EU quotas designed to protect swordfish accidentally made them more valuable. Scarcity created a luxury market. Portugal went from fishing industry decline to extraordinary boom in just 3 years. A single boat's $15 million haul changed everything. Fishing towns were revitalized, but success is attracting too many players. Brexit, climate change, and EU politics all intersect in these Portuguese waters. One regulation change could end the boom overnight. The story reveals a disturbing truth. When nature recovers, humans immediately exploit it harder. Conservation creates economic opportunity, but also plants the seeds of new destruction. In the deep Atlantic canyons off Portugal, swordfish continue, hunting in darkness, unaware they've become the nation's most valuable marine resource. Will the quota system hold, or will greed destroy what took years to recover? Can a $180 million industry learn sustainability before it's too late? How long before warming waters push these giants beyond Portuguese reach forever? When we order swordfish at restaurants, do we think about crews risking their lives in Atlantic storms? Portugal's swordfish story shows how quickly nature can recover when given the chance. But it also shows how quickly we're willing to destroy it all over again. If this story opened your eyes to the real cost of seafood, like and subscribe for more investigations into the fishing industries shaping our oceans and the hidden consequences of what lands on our plates.